Hello, I'm going to discuss the bell jar and the key components of the story. The bell jar is about Esther Greenwood, who is the age of 19 and is battling through depression in the 1950s. What is quite interesting about the story is the peculiar way that it is written and the feelings expressed in the story. In the story, Esther Greenwood is the protagonist. As I said before, she is a 19-year-old woman that's battling through depression in the 1950s. Now, there are three antagonists in the story. First of which is Buddy Willard. Buddy Willard is the boyfriend of Esther Greenwood, and he was a hypocrite towards her and made her feel depressed the way he acted towards her. The other antagonist is Marco. Marco was a boy that was set on a date with Esther, and in the end he tried to rape her, but Esther got away just in time. And lastly, the other antagonist was Joan. Joan was also a girlfriend of Buddy Willard, and Joan and Esther competed for Buddy, mental stability, and academics, and these all contributed to her depression. Now, within the novel, there is a main conflict. The major conflict was Esther battling through her depression and the toll that the depression had on her mental and physical body. Now, in the story, there's chronological order. The chronological order was very helpful for me to comprehend the book and made a lot more sense with it. Now, the flashbacks, on the other hand, are very different. The flashbacks were very random and did not really help me understand the book fully. Now in the book, there are strengths and weaknesses. The strengths in this book is that it's very descriptive and very detailed, as in a book. My mother told me I must have slept. It was impossible not to sleep in all that time, but if I slept, it was with my eyes wide open. For I had followed the green, luminous course of the second hand, and the minute hand, and the hour hand of the bedside clock through the circles and semicircles. Every night for 7 nights, without missing a second, or a minute, or an hour. And that was an example of her descriptive work. Also, the weaknesses of the story is that it's very slow and depressing, therefore it loses the reader's interest in the book at times, and people are confused what the writer is trying to get by. And that is one of the weaknesses of the book. Also, there's symbolism in this book. There's symbolism in water and babies. The symbolism in water represents purity, and the symbolism in babies means a burden or a pain. An example from a book. I said to myself, Doreen's dissolving, Lenny Shepard's dissolving, Frankie's dissolving, New York City's dissolving. They are all dissolving away, and none of them matter anymore. She is saying this when she is taking a bath, and that represents the purity and cleansiness of water. Also, another example from the book. I thought it sounded just like the sort of drug a man would make. Here was a woman in terrible pain, obviously feeling every bit of it, or she wouldn't have grown like that. And she would go straight home and start another baby, because the drug would make her forget how bad the pain was. When all that time, in some sacred part of her, that long, blind, doorless, and windowless quarter of pain was waiting to open up and shut her in again. That is a birth she is talking about. Also, Esther started as a young girl that was just upset with herself and not making high standards. Eventually, from not making those impossibly high standards, she became depressed about herself and she started to hate life. And from that hatred from life, she turned to hurt herself and have suicidal feelings. And also, from example of the book, Then I thought I maybe ought to spill a little blood for practice. So I sat on the edge of the tub, crossed my right ankle over my left knee. Then I lifted my right hand with the razor and let it drop of its own weight, like a guillotine, onto the calf of my leg. There she was trying to hurt herself because she was upset. Also in this book, there are 3 main settings, one of which is New York City, where she had a job in the summertime. Her hometown, whose another setting, was the place where she was reunited with her brother and mother and the grave site of her father, who had died when she was 9 years of age. And the last setting was a mental institution where she was trying to be cured of her depression. In the 1950s, women had a role in life. Their role was to get married, have children, cook, clean, and stay home all day. This was not the life Esther wanted for herself, and she wanted to focus more on her career, which is a contemporary idea to today's standards. I also believe she does not belong in the society. She belongs in a mental institution because she sets such high standards for herself that she can never make and will always feel depressed about herself, and that she can never be good enough for the rest of the world. And that is impossible to live like that, or they'll eventually hurt themselves to the extent that they don't want to live no more. To conclude, this book was a great book, but this book was not for me. I'm more of a jovial person, and the depressing and melancholy actions in this book were not for me. Even though this was a great book and it taught me a life lesson that you don't have to push yourself so far to hurt yourself. You just have to keep regular goals for yourself that you can meet, so you'll never hate yourself for not meeting them. Thank you.